could try to move a $5 billion bill just for the wall. I talked to Patrick McHenry. He's the chief deputy whip in the House, Republican congressman from North Carolina, and he said the following, quote, "The question of whether or not to do it is a question of wisdom and strategy and tactics. It's highly debatable as to whether this is the right move." And Neil, had they decided to go down that path, they probably would have done so already. They don't have the time to do that. So this is going to be a slam job late next week if they're going to avoid a government shutdown, Neil.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Chet Bergram. Let's get the read on all this from the U.S. Border Patrol Chief, Carla Provost. Ms. Provost, by the way, is in the middle of all of this because this is all over funding for that wall. The president insisting that if push came to shove, yeah, he would shut the government down. It's that important to him. $5 billion is a good step in that direction. What do you think?
Well, I can tell you, Neil, that we certainly do need a wall. If you talk to any Border Patrol agent, they will tell you that. This is something that we've been doing for the last 30 years. We have identified across the entire southwest border areas that wall makes sense, and I have prioritized that based on the operational requirements from my field leadership.
So, Chief, could a couple of dumb questions, but you're patient with my dumb questions. And one is that it doesn't have to be a wall. I understand that through the whole border, but it has to be very secure and much firmer than some of the fencing we have now. And I'm told separately that the $5 billion that the president is looking for is actually a continuing down payment on something that will ultimately be closer to $25 billion.
We have identified mileage that goes beyond the $5 billion, but like I said, we've prioritized it. So no matter what funding I get, I am ready to work on putting the wall where we need it.
So would the wall do something that existing structures don't? And I know there are vast areas, particularly along Texas and Arizona border where there's no such thing. Are you confident that it would keep illegals out?
It is much more sophisticated than what you're showing actually right now. That's old landing mat fencing that we put up years ago. And it is certainly not what my men and women need to work effectively and safely along the border. The new wall system integrates technology with the wall, and it is a much sturdier. It has anti-dig features with it. It has detection technology and is set to attach additional technology to it. So it's really a border wall system. I got it. The anti-dig means that you can't dig beneath it and crawl under it, right? Yes, sir. Okay. So the president has staked his reputation and the government itself on this. As much as you want this, what do you think of that? Well, I can tell you the president has been extremely supportive, and he has been listening to my men and women on the ground and has listened to myself as we have described what we need to be able to secure this border. So, Chief, the issue now that I want to get an update on you from is, regardless of what happens with this wall, if it comes to pass that the president doesn't get that funding, you argue here that you have a serious problem that gets even more so, right? Well, certainly. We need the impedance and denial that the wall brings. We need more technology, and we need more agents on the ground to truly secure this border. Our apprehensions are up dramatically, 88% compared to where we were the same time last year. In the first 2 months alone, we apprehended over 100,000 people crossing between the ports of entry. I think Chuck Schumer had said, noting some of that progress you're making, that you don't need a wall then. Well, obviously, we have a lot of bad actors in the group. The wall helps us as we operate. It helps me expand where my manpower works and helps us to get into areas that we can't currently operate in. So depending on how this goes, and then the president does get this initial funding, and then he gets more funding after that, the big worry is that you build a bigger trap, you find smarter minds, or people who will find a way around that. Is it your sense with some of the drawings and renditions that have been out there that this is impenetrable, that whatever we come up with will be very, very tough to get through? Well, certainly it will be tough to get through. Nothing is perfect, but it certainly makes it a lot easier for my men and women to do the job that they've taken an oath to do in protecting this country. It's a long border. We've got 1,954 miles with Mexico, and I've got a little over 16,000 agents deployed on that border, and it's certainly not sufficient enough. The barrier and the impedance in denial helps them do their jobs. It also makes our border communities safer.
Carla Provost, an easy job you do not have, but thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil.
She is the U.S. Border Patrol chief. All right, after this, Melania Trump is often seen as the